Good Friday morning. We're still going in Matthew here, and you're going to have a. This is interesting. You make some hyperbolic claims here that, if misunderstood, could be devastating. But in another one, I'll show you. It's it's been a major part of Catholic marital teaching. Okay, I'll show it to you. The first part, he says, "You have heard the commandment: you shall not commit adultery." See, that's a minimal condition of civility. Okay, that's your take. Now watch him raise it. You shall not commit adultery. What I say to you, anyone who looks lustfully at a woman has already committed adultery with her in his thoughts. See? Christ moves from an external action to an internal motive. See? That's a transformation of morality. Morality is not a simple matter of external behavior, conformity, or violation of a rule. It's an internal attitude and internal value. See that? That's a radical move in morality. It's not. It goes past the legal order. Yeah, it goes beyond legality. Like, you can't make a law against someone's internal feelings. See, but see what he's doing. He says that ultimately your conscience, your inner thought, that's the key to morality. It's beyond external conformity. He's absolutely right. You see that? See, if you're now here, watch this. This is where he gets. These are hyperbolic claims, I think. One has to be. He's using excessive language to make his point. That wasn't. These are absolutely fundamentally right. These must have been a bunch of sayings that Matthew put together. Okay, because there's a disjoint in them. Okay, they don't flow smoothly. He makes a very key insight into the inner attitude that is the foundation to morality. That's the first thing. But now, watch what he does. He exaggerates it to make a point. He's preaching at this moment. So what does he say? He said, "If your right eye is your trouble, gouge it out and throw it away." Now, are you supposed to go and take a knife and cut your eye out? What's he saying? He's using that as an analogy of the inner heart. See, the inner soul. But he's using a very strong hyperbolic claim. See, if your eye is a scandal, you tear it out. It's better. What's what he says? Better to lose part of your body than to have it cast into Gehenna, cast into the soul. And if your right hand is your trouble, cut it off and throw it away. Better to lose part of your body than to have it all cast into Gehenna. So strong claims, you see. Does he mean it literally? Should you really cut your right hand off? Hardly. Gouge your eye out? Hardly. He's making the point, though. The point is this. The integrity of the soul is what matters. You have to have an inner wholeness. What Aristotle called the virtues. The moral order and the moral spiritual order is a whole. It's a wholeness. An integrity of the heart and soul. See? And so the task is not to have it dissipate itself. It's to seek wholeness. I don't know how else to put it. To seek wholeness. He uses the example. He's tearing away at the example. You tear your right hand off, okay? It's because you must be whole from within. I think I've said it as poorly as you can say it. I think of Aristotle. You can't live a virtuous life unless you're in a virtuous society, but it's crucial for you to be happy. Think of beatitude. Really, to be happy, one has to have a virtuous soul. You have to have your life well ordered from within, and that's what he's saying. Now at a very high spiritual level, not in an Aristotelian philosophical sense, but in imitatio Christi, in the imitation of Christ himself. You can't have your cake and eat it. If you're a Christian, then you're compelled and called to live fully the Christian life. And it may entail heroism. You can't have your cake and eat it. You can't have a Christian heart and at the same time live by secular standards. You can't do that. That's your right hand. Better do you give up a way of life that is counter to the Christian way of life. You can't be both a Christian and a neo-pagan at the same time. You can't have pagan values living the Christian life. It doesn't work. I think I just said that right. I don't know. So sometimes you must choose. You see this in the professional world. You go to church on Sunday, but you're a pagan on Monday. in terms of the way you run your professional life, you live your life. I'm using an extreme example there. You can't have Sunday. You can't, in a sense, be a worshiper and at the same time a pagan. And pagan in your values. That's your right hand needs to be cut off. You have to choose. You see? In many ways, it's very true. I think many of our young people today are going to have to choose because we are moving much more radically into a secular society whose values are very, very secular. And it can be that it's incompatible with the gospel, and we're going to have to choose. Do I believe in Christ, or do I believe in the values of a secular world? Because I can't have it both ways. And I think that's what St. Matthew, but those guys had to be facing this thing left and right. They had to be facing it left and right. In the early church, they must have been very clear. How do we fit, and what do we have to give up to be a Christian? Now, Matthew is talking to Jewish Christians in Jerusalem. So what parts maybe did he have to choose between Judaism and Christianity, if anything? I don't know. But they had to choose. You have to live holistically. I guess that's the right word. You can't have a set of beliefs in one area and that are countered by a set of beliefs in another. You have to resolve that one way or another. I think that's what he's saying. Oh, I'm sure of it, actually. You know, if you're a Christian, then the Christ life in you has to be the dominant light that guides you in everything you do. And you're first and foremost and only a Christian. And in that sense, you address the world in those terms as a Christian. See? Not a part-time Christian. Not a Christian on Sunday and a pagan on Monday. It doesn't work. And I would imagine guys were making those kind of choices left and right. And he's telling them that doesn't work. You see? Anyway. Yeah, that's a very important point, I think. We're going to face that. We do. We do face it. As more and more of our society becomes radically secularized, it's going to make a choice whether we're going to be governed by our Christian vision of Christian humanism or secular humanism. You can't have your cake and eat it. You're going to have to say, which is it? Which will be the dominant set of values and virtues I will live by? Will it be Christian in the richest sense of the Beatitudes, or is it going to be neo-pagan or secular? They're incompatible when they're brought to the extreme level. And I think in our society, they're beginning more and more to become to those levels. We have to choose. See? I really believe our children are going to make choices that most of us old-timers didn't have to make, because the culture has moved so rapidly in secular move in the last 50 years. I see it in my classes. I'll leave this alone with you, but I see very little what I would call cultural Christianity. I either see Christians becoming atheists, especially Catholics who have given up the faith, and they give it up and they choose to be atheists, or they choose to believe. But what you don't see is conformity, mere conformity. That's what I don't see anymore. And that's in the conservative Midwest. I see kids really believing and really choosing, okay? And I see kids really rejecting. And they came out of the same essential pot. They came out of Catholic schools. And many of the kids who go to SLU, St. Louis University, come out of Catholic schools. That's our feeders. It's interesting. And I've seen it both men and women. I've seen a number of women choose not to believe. That was kind of rare, because historically the women were the great redeemers of the church. They were the reformers. I see them now walking away. Not drifting away, walking away intentionally. Yeah. At least in Catholicism. It may not be true in Protestant, but it is in Catholicism. It's what I see. Maybe wrong, but I ain't. And I also see choosing and really believing and putting their lives on the line in the sense of really volunteering, going overseas and with the Jesuit volunteers, etc. It's amazing. See? But what you don't see is mere conformity. That, I think, is disappearing. Kids are forced today to choose, and they are choosing one way or the other. Actually, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Now you have to choose what you believe.